Well, hello friends, and welcome back to the cabin. What you've seen me pick up is a gift that was sent to us all the way from Oregon from a subscriber that watches our channel and has been for a long time. So I'm going to walk down here to the sawmill. I'll show it to you and then we'll talk about it. Like I said, what I've got here is a surprise, and this individual has probably followed us, I guess from the beginning. Called me up one day and said, hey, I heard you talking that you were going to have to extend your roof. And I said, yeah, because when we bought this sawmill down here, we didn't design this building for it and didn't intend on having a new sawmill. But when we found out that we were going to work a deal out with Woodmizer, like I told you before, I came down here, I measured it, and I thought, oh, it'll just fit. So when I put the roof up there, I kind of made it a little bit short. It won't be too difficult to actually add a little extension out there at about 3 feet. But in the meantime, we were talking, he said, no, because I still have to cover this up, and I'd like to not have to do that if it's possible. But I don't mind it, in order to protect our investment, because it was quite a bit of money. But anyway, we got to talking, and he said, well, I hate to see you go through all that trouble. And I said, what would be cool is if I had a canopy, that would fit on the top of that, kind of like the old tractors, back in the day before they actually were coming out, or a lot of people started buying the cab type tractors. They had a canopy or like an umbrella that went over the back of them. Some of them mounted on the rear seat back there and came down and kind of had a little curve to it, and the umbrella would mount on top of that. And then the other ones they had coming up off the fenders, a lot of times you would see like 3 fingers come up and a canopy mounted that way. Anyway, because I used to have one on one of the old tractors that I had back when I had the other house. So we got to talking about that, and he started looking it up online, and he actually found this. And the cool thing about it is, it's the same color as the sawmill. But yeah, this was really nice. He said, well, consider it done. He said, where do you want it shipped to? I was totally surprised, but this is made by, let's see, it's called Supco Trade Fox Fire Rated Umbrella. So let me open it up here and I'll show it to you. That's what it looks like on the inside. So yeah, that was really nice and really cool of him to buy that. I'll show you how it works here in just a second, because I can come down here now and mill lumber without the sun coming in on me. But yeah, I'll be able to position this anywhere on the sawmill and actually use it. So here, let me show you how it works. I was actually playing with this bracket yesterday, putting it on and trying it in different positions. It also came with a really large magnet, but I decided not to use it because when I tried to pull it off, it was scratching the paint off right here. But anyway, this is kind of how it's going to work. How about that, huh? I can go along here and I can mill and not have to worry about the sun being there, and when it drops on down a little bit lower in the sky, later in the day, I can actually turn this and lean it in that direction, or I can lean it back behind me. But now I'm underneath my hangover, and I'm also underneath this. So until I can get time to extend the roof, this is going to help me to get in out of the sun, any light rain that may be going on, although I don't do much, when it's raining. But yeah, that is really nice, and I'll tell you what, we have some of the best people watching this channel, and he just felt the need to call us up and send that to us. I thought that was so nice. But yeah, that's really going to be the trick to keep me out of the sun during the day if I'm going to be down here milling. So I've got another little trick that came in the mail that I'm going to show you. So I actually picked up 3 of these. They're magnetic mounts, just like this right here, for the GoPros. You know, it's getting harder and harder to make any money on YouTube, so I told my son, I said, I'm going to go down and pick up some steel plates and mount them in different positions down there at the workshop for the sawmill, because it's kind of hard to get cameras in here, especially the kinds with the stands, to get different angles of the sawmill in action. You know, just trying to create a lot of different angles to make it more action-packed for you guys to be able to sit back and enjoy when you're watching the show. And this is the only thing that I could figure out that I could do, is get some sort of a magnet like this. That way I can position the camera anywhere that I needed it to. Now, of course, I would need one of these plates, so I'm not really sure how it's going to work out yet. I've got 3 of them up there, and I can still use one camera as long as it's set off to the side. But I've only got 2 GoPros, so I'll have to mount maybe 2 of them down here. Now, I've got a mount for this side over here, but I'm going to wait until I get the siding on the workshop over here before I add that one on. But this post over here was the only place that I could put one, so I decided to put this one here. But that way, now they're not really easy to get off of there. They really go on good. So as long as I've got that there, I can take the GoPro, I can set it up, like I said, to make it a little more visually appealing to watch the sawmill in action. So yeah, I think that that's going to work, and we've got 2 down there on that end, and hopefully this will make a little bit better video on the sawmill. So if it does, then we were thinking about you all when you sit back and you watch it, and hopefully it will help to create some more views for the channel. Well, it looks like what I'm going to end up doing is bringing in the power right about here, because I've got a 6-inch wide by 10-inch tall beam sitting from this plate right here up. So it comes up to the bottom of this black pipe right here. So if I go in right there, because my power panel is mounted on the inside right up there, then I can do that. Now, I've had some comments and some folks ask, why did I use regular Schedule 40 PVC when I put this underground here? Well, for one thing, it's cheaper, and I'm not trying to conform to any standards that are out there. It's not like that we're going to sell this property or anything. And I've also got a set of prints with the cabin on it where everything is located. So as long as you know where the line is, there shouldn't be any problem with digging in the area. The water lines will actually be coming off of the roof and will be coming into the house, probably more than likely from the back over here which will be very visible, except an underground pipe that will come into the house, and we'll be sure and put that on the print as well. But I know that there is a national electric code, but again, like I said, I'm not trying to conform to any of those standards. I'm just trying to do what's going to be best for us here on the homestead and will allow it to function. Now this right here is one of the pieces of electrical conduit. This is the 90, where you can turn and go in, come up, and have room to make a connection if you need to in there, or pull it back, bend it, and run it through. But I've pulled wire. That's the reason that I've got mule tape down there, because the phone company, we pull cables through conduit. But like I said, the only reason to have this is to just protect the wire. So if that Schedule 40 will protect it, then that's what I need. I just need to protect my wire that's running underground so that I can keep mice from chewing on it and insects getting damaging it in any way, if it was possible for them to do that, and to keep the water out. So that Schedule 40 should do the job that I need it to do. Well, I guess you've seen that, didn't you? There's a small crack there by that window, just big enough for those wasps to get in. And there was about 50 of them that came out of there, so I'm going to have to close that up. But I kind of wish, in hindsight now, that I hadn't had to put that gas line right there. But the reason I left it there was because I had that fitting going in straight to my range on the inside of the kitchen there. So it was easy to just come down, turn, and go in there and come on down, and then go under and feed everything else in the house. So, because I didn't want to leave that hole in the wall. So if I come up on the outside and go in right here, I think that that's going to be sufficient. This joint right here has the sweeping 90. This one doesn't. That's the one that I'm going to replace. That's all I had that day. But I got to thinking, instead of doing that, because I've already got the other end made up, I'm going to go ahead and cut that off a little bit and put the sweeping 90. This one right here is just stuck on, okay? It's just to keep the water out, this whole thing right there. So if I pull the wire through here right now, it's just a straight shot. And then I've got this in, I'll leave about 10 feet, that in about 10 feet. Go ahead and make up my pipe, my connection, everything, get it ready to go, pull it through there, put it together. And then change this one out right here. And like I said, it shouldn't be too hard to pull. But I'll tell you, I do appreciate all the comments that we have got, and questions regarding that, because if I wasn't thinking about it to start off with, that would be a good tip, for me to be able to change what I'm doing midstream. But I did think about it before I started. I thought, well, it's not going to be too hard because I'm not going to have very many bends or turns in it. So if I can get the wire through there and protected, that's all I'm concerned with. And it was just like, the price that they wanted for the fasteners to hold those panels down, right at 20 bucks just for a set. And I needed 32 of them. So I wasn't going to spend that kind of money. I thought, I'll engineer something myself. I'm not completely, handicapped that I can't think of a different type of an alternative to be able to service the needs that I have here. So those panels and the fasteners that I've got, and like I said before, they're not going to be fastened down real tight because of expansion and contraction that might happen in that wood. The toe board that I'm going to put on there is basically going to support the weight. The fasteners will just hold them down so that they don't fly off. Each one of my panels on the back side has 4 holes that are marked ground, and that's where the little screws and the nuts that I've got, I'm going to screw those in there and make little loops and bond from panel to panel. The connection that I'm going to have on the unistrut as far as the fasteners holding the panels down is not going to be a really good connection because, like I said, they're just going to hold them down, so I'm not going to screw them tight. So in order to bond my panels, I'm going to have to do it differently, which, like I said, that will be from panel to panel with a loop going in between each one to ground one panel to the next panel. But I think once we get it all hooked up and proof is in the pudding when it's up and running right, then I don't think that we're going to have any issues out of it. Hopefully, you know, getting it cranked up and getting all of the different pieces to talk to each other kind of electronically, since it's digital, is probably going to be the most problem that we're going to have. All this is minor. Also had some comments, and I don't know whether I scared somebody, but I had a comment that they had said that something to the nature of that I had convinced them not to do a solar project, but honestly everything I've done so far has been fairly easy. So hopefully when we get it hooked up, we're not going to have any issues. Everything will flow fairly smooth, and we'll be getting power over the winter time. Don't know how much yet, because all this is fairly new for the cabin, and I won't have to run the generators hopefully every day. We do have the generator backup as part of the plan for this system right here, because we know that in the winter time, you know, you may have overcast days that last for a while, so we may have to charge the batteries up with the generator, but that's the reason that we have them. That's also the reason that I saved those propane tanks, to be able to run those on a much cleaner type fuel. That way I don't have gasoline actually sitting in the generators for a long period of time. But like I say, hopefully we get it all hooked up, running smooth, and we won't have any hiccups out of it. I think that there's going to be quite a bit of money saved, because first of all, the power company, like I told you before, they wanted $10,000 just to bring power up here, and I don't even have half of that. Well, including the money that I've spent for the solar panels, I've got about half of that invested in this system to go here, which I think is going to power all the needs that we have. So I have saved 50% there. I've saved, I think somewhere around 30, 40, maybe 50% on the conduit that I had to buy, which wasn't a whole lot. I'm looking at some wiring right now. I contacted an electrician and I asked him a couple of questions, and he said, yeah, go for it, sounds good. So I will be getting a number 8 3-strand to go from the hut over here to the cabin, because the amperage on this cabin is 25 amps or less, because I don't have anything in there that's going to be loaded nearly that much at all, because all of the appliances are gas, right? The needs for the cabin on electricity are at a minimum, and that's the way I kind of wanted it when I moved up here, so that I wasn't relying on just the solar to be able to power all of my needs. I could have part of it on gas, I could have part of it on solar. Now the reason that I went with the gas was, you know, in the event that something happened to the solar, just like my sister's power goes out quite a bit, if something did happen to my power, which is the solar, then I would still be able to cook, I would still be able to heat, and I would still have a refrigerator, that I wasn't relying on that. And I could keep going, you know, even if I didn't put this solar in, I could keep going, because I've been charging the batteries with the generator, and I've been operating that way for quite a while. I used to go up to my sister's house and charge up the batteries, and then we got the generators. So been doing that for, what have I lived here, 3 years, and I still carry water. But you know, I've had people say, you don't have water? Well, yeah, I've got water, but I carry it. You know, it hasn't been that big of a problem, you know, yet to carry the water here and supply the needs that we have. But I think that that's a project that we're going to work on next year. So hopefully that will get put in. We'll have the power run in here. We've got the gas run in, so the cabin should be set to go. It's just the rest of the homestead that we've got to work on, and it seems like we always come up with a new idea. But anyway, folks, I hope that that kind of helps explain, you know, what I'm doing up here. I certainly do appreciate all the comments. We thank you for stopping by. We certainly do appreciate that, and we look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.